Good morning, dear students. Welcome to the fifth lecture, second part. We were on the project scheduling and tracking topic. We shall continue with the topic in this second part. In the previous lecture, we had studied about principles of scheduling, the definition of scheduling, where we had seen that you are actually estimating an effort, and this effort you are distributing in the different tasks that you have planned throughout your engineering phase. We saw the basic principles of scheduling like compartmentalization, interdependency, time allocation, effort validation, responsibilities, outcomes, and milestones. We also saw the steps which are taken by the project manager in order to schedule the project. We also saw the basic guideline of how effort should be distributed. Next, we had seen method of scheduling. We saw the timeline chart or the Gantt chart, where we saw that we are representing activities against time, and we are then we can get a various views of what is going on, which phases are overlapping, which activities are starting when, they are ending when, what is the duration of each and every activity, and based on that we can allocate resources properly. Today we are going to see a new method of scheduling, that is CPM, or the critical path method. Now, before we move on to critical path method, we should know what actually it is. So critical path method is nothing but we are creating a graphical representation, and in this representation we need to find out which is the path that is to be followed and which is the path from which you cannot deviate your project schedule. So if I am having a critical path, then I need to follow that path strictly if I want to deliver my software on time. If I am not able to fulfill my project responsibilities in that given path or that particular time allotted, then my project will fail. Chances of project failing will increase. So critical path is nothing but a very important path or a path which you cannot change after you have decided it. Okay, so this is a critical path which I have shown here, this thick arrowed. Now, how am I concluding that this is the path which I should follow? Okay, so this is what we are going to see in CPM. Okay, it determines the duration of the project and it shows minimum time to complete the project through maximum of all paths from start to finish. So here we can say that this is my starting point, this is my finish point. Now, if I'm moving on to this path, I'm moving on to this path, I'm moving on to this path in order to check the project. But they are saying that you should follow the path which has maximum time limit. So this is a path with maximum time limit. I need to follow it strictly if I want to deliver my project on time. Okay, so critical path is the path from start to end node containing only critical tasks. Now, what are critical tasks? Critical tasks are the tasks which have a slack time of 0. Now, what is a slack time? We will see later on when we are doing this example. Now, this is my basic example. This is a work breakdown structure of my tasks or my engineering activities. So this is my specification. This is database design. This is GUI design. This is coding database. This is coding user interface. This is integrating all the modules and testing. And this is writing the user manual. Now these are the tasks which you generally do when you are developing a software. Now we have mentioned the duration of all these things. Roughly specification will take me 15 days. So this duration is mentioned in form of days. Next is dependency or interdependency. Now yesterday we have seen that some tasks are dependent on other tasks. As you can see, interdependency. Okay, so work breakdown structure we have already done. Now we have to determine dependency. Now this dependency we are determining here, that task T1 is independent of anything, T2 is dependent on T1, T3 also on T1, T4 is dependent on T2, T5 is dependent on T3, T6 is dependent on T4 and T5 both, and T7 is dependent on T1. So now let us start the CPM activity. Now for creating a CPM, we have to draw such kind of graph. So let us see how we can draw this graph. First, what is ES, what is EF, what is LS, and what is LF. So ES is the earliest start time. Now earliest start time is the timing where you can start your project as soon as possible. Whenever it is possible, you will start the project. That is earliest start. And earliest finish is very soon you are able to finish it. How soon you will be able to finish this task. Okay, so that is the earliest finish. Now latest start is, latest start says that you cannot start a project after this particular time. If you are starting the project after the latest start time, then your project will fail. Latest finish time is, now you cannot afford to finish the project after this particular time. If you are finishing the project after this latest finish time, then your project is lagging behind the schedule. Okay, so earliest start, earliest finish, latest start, and latest finish. These four are the variables that you are using. Now what is slack time? Slack time is allowing a little bit of delay is called a slack time. Okay, so if you have slack time in your activity, then you can say that this activity can take 2 or 3 more days less or 2 or 3 more days more. So it is not a very critical task that you have to complete it on the given date. So critical tasks have a slack time of 0. Whereas if you have any slack time for an activity, then this activity is something which is giving you some liberty in completing the task. Okay, so first let us see specification task. Earliest when can you begin your specification task? So specification task is having a duration of 15 days and it is not dependent on any task. So you can say that earliest you can start this task is on day 0, the day you are getting the task, and earliest you will finish it by 15 days because its duration is actually 15 days. So you can finish this task in 15 days. Next, design database taking 45 days is dependent on T1. So your T1 is specification. Specification is ending on 15, therefore your database design will start after or on the 15th. So 15th day you are starting your database design. Now database design is taking a total of 45 days. So what you will do here, 15 plus 45 you will do, so you will get a total of 60. I am repeating again. This is earliest start time 0, latest earliest finish time 15. Okay, now when you are finishing specification on day number 15, you can directly start database design after 15, not before 15 days, because T2 is dependent on T1. So it is dependent on specification. So earliest you can start is 15. And when can you finish? After a duration of 45 days. So 15 plus 45 will give you 60. Okay. Next is your design GUI part. Design GUI is having 30 days. It is dependent on T1. So when T1 will become over, you can start your T3 task. So T1 is over on day number 15. So you can start design GUI on 15th date. Okay, how many days it is taking? 30. So here you are getting 15, that is this, plus duration, that is 30 days. So 15 plus 30 is giving you 45. Next is your code database. It is starting at 10, its duration is 105 days. It is dependent on task T2. T2 is your database design. So database design is finishing on day number 60. So your T4, that is code database, will start on day number 60. When can you finish the task? 60, that is your start date, plus 105, which is 165 days. So after 165, your code database will be over. Next is code GUI part. That is 45 days and dependent on task T3. T3 is your design GUI. So design GUI is ending on day number 45. So your code GUI part will start on 45 days. Its duration is 45 days. So 45 here starting and 45 duration, which is equal to 90 days. Next, we have integrate and test. It is having a duration of 120 days, but it is dependent on T4 and T5, which is it is dependent on code database and code GUI. So let us see, code database is ending on 165 and code GUI is ending on 90. So you will take the largest of both of these because it is compulsory waiting for both to end. So code database is going to take more time to end. So this task can start only after code database is ending. So you have 165. Now 165, you are adding 120 to it. So you are getting 285. Okay. So this is your finish time. Okay. Now writing user manual. It is dependent on task T1. So T1 is your specification. So T1 is ending on 15th. So you can start writing user manual from the 15th day itself. And you will add 60, that is the duration, to 15, that is 75 days you are finishing the user manual. So this is how we are writing or creating the earliest start time and earliest finish time. We will plot these data in a graph. So first let us see, we are compulsory starting with the specification part, that is from here. So it is starting at 0. So your node at 0 and lasting till 15 days will come first. So you can see your specification starting at 0, ending in 15 days. It's the first task. Okay. Now next you can see you are starting 1, 2 and 3 tasks in parallel at day number 15. So when your specification task is over at 15, you are starting 3 other tasks, that is database design, design GUI and user manual. As you can see, design database, design GUI and user manual. Okay, so their end dates you will write 15, 60 here, next 15, 45 here, and next 15, 75 here. Okay. Okay. Now you can see 60 and 45. They are the next tasks that are there. So 60 when you are ending, you are starting here. Okay. So 60 end will have 60 start here. So after design database, you can start code database together from 60 to 165. Right? The next task is 15 to 45. You will attach this 45 there, 45 to 90. So as you can see, you have 45 to 90 code GUI. So it can conclude that design GUI is done. Now you can start with coding the GUI. Okay. Now next, you can see this is 165. This is 90. Okay. So you can see at 165, you are starting integrating and testing. So it is 165 to 285. Here it should be 165, not 162. There's a mistake in the diagram. This is 165. So 165, 285. and you are having your integration and testing here. And after this, you can say that your project will finish at 285. Now, if you calculate here, it's 15 days plus 90 days plus 285 days. So this duration is the longest duration happening here, you can see, as per this. Okay. So this path is the longest path. You are able to cover many activities. So it is your critical task. You can start your project from here, right? This is a task in which you cannot increase the number of days further than 285 days. Okay. So this is your critical path. Next is we will do the same thing using LS and LF, that is latest start and latest finish. Now for your latest start and latest finish, you need to back propagate. Means you will now move from your finish line to your starting line in reverse order. Okay. So how we are going to move? First, you already know you have 285 as your end time. So you know your latest finish time already known. Okay. So this latest finish time is already known. You need to back propagate it. So let us start with this chart. Okay. This structure is going to remain the same. We will just back propagate. How? So you have your 285. Okay. Now this 285 you will further propagate here. Why? Because you know that if you are starting a task, if this is your earliest start time, then you have to have a finish time over here. Okay. If this is your latest start and latest finish time, then this should be your latest finish time equal to your latest start time. It is compulsory. Okay. So we will have this 285 propagated here as well as here because these are the immediate connecting nodes. Okay. Now we will calculate the latest start time based on the latest finish time. How? So your latest time is 285. So your latest start time will be 285 minus the duration of integration and testing. So 285 minus duration of integration and testing is 120. So you will do 285 minus 120, which is equal to 165. Same thing applies here. 285 minus writing user manual duration, which is 60. So 285 minus 60, which is going to give you 225. Okay. Now from here you don't have to propagate because you have only one node. Let us propagate from here. So here you have 165 as your latest start time. So if you have a latest start time, the previous task should have the same latest finish time. So here you have 165, here you have 165. Okay. We will calculate the latest start time here. So here you have 165 minus duration of code database. So code database has a duration of 105. So 165 minus 105, which is equal to 60. Here you have 165 minus code GUI duration. So code GUI duration is 45. So 165 minus 45 is 120. Similarly, you are again back propagating. This 60 is your latest finish time. So it has to be latest start time here. This is your latest finish time. So 120 has to be your latest start time here. Okay. So this is 60. This is 120. Now 60 minus design database duration. So 60 minus design database, that is 45. So 60 minus 45, which is equal to 15. And here 120 minus design GUI is 30. So 120 minus 30, which is 90. Okay. Okay. Now this and this, you take the shortest time here because that is your latest start time. So latest you need to start by 15. So 15 you are propagating here, and 15 minus specification duration, that is 15. So 15 minus 15 is 0. So here you have completed your task. Okay, this is how you will back propagate. So this was all about the critical path method. You have the same thick arrow here, which is your critical path or the longest duration days that you are following. And any task in this part means specification, database design, code database, integrate testing, and finish. These are the tasks which are very, very critical. How? Using the slack time you will find out. Okay. So your slack time says that slack time is calculated by subtraction or difference of earliest start and latest start, or earliest finish and latest finish. So here you can see 0 minus 0 is 0. So here in specification task you cannot have any kind of delay. Next, 15 minus 15 is 0. So you cannot have any kind of delay. This is 15 minus 90 or 90 minus 15, which is equal to 75. So design GUI part is a part in which 75 days plus or minus can work. Okay, 70 days duration you have a buffer. It can give you a liberal attitude in developing the designing of the GUI. Similarly, code database is having 0 slack time, so you cannot afford any delay here. Code GUI part is having a slack time of 75, so you can have some sort of delay here. There's no issue. Next is integrate and testing, that is 165 minus 165, 0. So you cannot afford any delay in integration and testing. And writing user manual will allow you some delay of 210 days. Okay, so all the path passing through these 0 activities, that is specification, database design, code database, and integrate testing, that is this part is a critical path. These activities cannot be delayed by even 1 day. The others you can. Okay, same applies for PERT. Now PERT is a technique in which instead of having only the latest time and the earliest time, it is having an approach of estimating 3 different estimates. First is pessimistic, second is likely, and third is optimistic. So pessimistic says that nothing is going to work well, everything is going to happen very badly, and you need to be ready for all types of disasters, so perform things in a very limited time. This is the pessimistic approach. So this is your pessimistic data. Finish specification in 12 days, finish in 40 days, finish in 95, finish in 100, and then you can directly finish your task. Okay. Now next is likely. So generally this will happen that specification you can finish in 15 days, design database 45 days, code database 105, and integrate and testing 120 days. And third is optimistic. Optimistic says that everything is going to be fine, very perfect. So do it slowly. There is no need to hurry. Okay, so this is your optimistic approach. So you can finish it in 20 days, in 60 days, in 120 days, in 140 days. Now, based on PERT, we have another method, that is 3-point estimates, or you can say it works in the same way as PERT. In the 3-point estimation, you also have to estimate based on optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely or likely approach. Okay, So you are having a numerical here and you are supposed to solve it using 3-point estimates or PERT. The numerical says that you are the software development project manager and majorly you are working on e-commerce websites. On your new project, which is on the e-commerce website, you are pretty sure that the website can be developed in 8 weeks with a most optimistic estimate being 6 weeks. Worst case scenario of 10 weeks. What must be the estimate for this project using PERT? Now let us first understand the definition of the problem. It says that there is a project manager. He is having a team of members, and in the team of members, they are discussing the 3-point estimates. And in developing the e-commerce website, the project manager is very sure that it is going to happen in 8 weeks of time, which is a optimistic approach. Means he says that it should happen in 8 weeks. Okay, so sorry, it is not optimistic, it is likely approach which is happening in 8 weeks. Most optimistic estimate is of 6 weeks. So it is saying that 6 weeks is a time where your project will happen as fast as possible, and they're assuming everything will be fine. And next is the worst case scenario, that is your pessimistic approach, in which they are having a 10 weeks of schedule duration. Okay, so what should be the estimate for this project using PERT? So PERT has a very simple formula. It says that whatever is your optimistic value, whatever is your likely value, and whatever is your pessimistic value. Okay, so O plus 4 times likely value plus pessimistic, divide by 6. Now why 6? Because this is 1, this is 4, and this is 1. Okay, so there are total of 6 values. So this generally says that you are supposed to take an average. So if you are using optimistic plus likely plus pessimistic, then you will divide by 3. Okay, but if you are using 3-point estimates, you have to use the formula 1 time O plus 4 times likely plus 1 time pessimistic. Okay, so that is dividing by 6. So I have substituted the values. Optimistic value was 6 weeks. Likely value was 4 weeks. Was 8 weeks. Okay, and pessimistic value, that is worst case scenario, was 10 weeks. Divide by 6, which is equal to 8 weeks. So using PERT, your estimation for the completion of the software will be near about 8 weeks. Now in this approach, pessimistic, optimistic, and most likely approach, you also have a method in which you can divide your team members and you can ask them, you can ask a group about what is your most likely option, you can ask a group about the pessimistic option, and you can ask a group about the optimistic option. Or you can do one more thing, you can ask each and every person regarding the pessimistic, optimistic, as well as the most likely values, and based on that you can schedule your project further. Okay, so that's all about PERT and 3-point estimation. Now we shall conclude by studying ways to track a project schedule. So first of all, what a project schedule does, it provides you a roadmap for moving into the software in the development phase. It helps the software manager to define what tasks are to be done, when they are to be done, and how much progress you have done by showing milestones. So what are the ways to track a project schedule? So first is you have to conduct project status meetings. Now why meetings are necessary? Meetings are necessary so that you can discuss what you have done, what you are going to do, and what you are planning to do or you have already done previously. So this discussion helps you see the clear milestones. Second is evaluate, review results of software process. So if there is any progress in your schedule, in your project management, in your project development, you can review it with the other members. And you can see that if I have developed or I have reached this milestone, am I giving quality to it or not? That is what you can check here. Next is determine if formal project milestones have been accomplished. Now, as we have already discussed that you are defining milestones, as you can see here. In principles of scheduling, you are always defining a milestone. So you have to see that these milestones are accomplished. Have we reached the milestone? And that too in a particular time, because you are currently very time bound. So in a specific time, am I able to complete the job which I was assigned? So that way you are tracking your project. Next is you have to compare actual start date to the planned start date for each task. So before you are starting your project, you are already given a time estimation that this so and so milestones you have to cover in 2 to 3 days. So you have to check whether you are successfully able to cover that milestone within 2 to 3 days or not. Next is you have a formal meeting with practitioners. Now practitioners are your developers. So you have to have an informal meeting, a communication in short, to know how much you have done, how much is still left to be done. Next is using time boxing, you can track your project. Now what is time boxing? Time boxing is one kind of a scheduling and a controlling technique. Now scheduling and controlling you can do in a project where you are having an assumption that this is, for example, you are having an assumption that the project that you are making is not going to be delivered within the deadline. So it is a kind of a pessimistic approach that you won't be able to do it. So what you are going to do, you will choose an incremental software development approach where you are not giving all the functionalities at a time, but you are giving them in incremental delivery. So you are fixing dates that in a particular 15 days or every fortnight I am going to deliver a working product. So you will have an incremental approach to cover your whole software, because this approach is very helpful in knowing what your work outcome is or your work product is. If you choose the software incremental approach, after every 15 days, you will be able to see what work product you are delivering. Okay, so when you know your deadline is going to come in 15 days, you are bound to work very hard. So you can see the efforts that you are putting in form of a work product. So choosing the incremental approach for software development is just the right approach. And adjusting the original deadline backward to give incremental delivery of product. Okay, now if you are giving an incremental delivery, if the client says you're supposed to give this project to me in a duration of 6 months. So instead of waiting for 6 months and giving only less work product or not a very satisfactory product, what you can do is you can ask your customer that can I just increase backward my deadline so that I can give you products every month, and after the end of the 6th month we will be able to give you a full product. So you are doing what? You are increasing the number of your submission deadlines and increasing it by some particular schedule that you are making. Or you can say we are deciding a time limit as to when you are going to give the submission. So this time boxing is very useful when you want to schedule your project, when you want to give a very satisfactory product to the customer and have a complete control and tracking of the project. So this was all about project tracking. Thank you.